Pasco, Carol. You know,
2, 1, 4, 1, 8.
right.
Okay.
I run into you all the time though.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Bartram Bridge Joint Preservation Commission meeting. My name is Edward Johnson, the chairman of the commission, and our meeting is today, Tuesday, October 26th. And what time do we have?
Frying bushes
7:37. Yeah. Okay, so roll call. I'm here. Eric, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Can
Rosario.
you hear me?
Dan Littman.
Yes.
Bart Van
Hey,
Valkenburg.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
Yep.
Is that right? Okay. George Sharons
No, if they could hear you.
and Bill Hagan.
Bill is not able to be with us tonight.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, on the bottom.
So agenda. The next on our list is the agenda. Does everyone want to take a look at the agenda so we can approve it?
Click on it.
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Move that we approve the agenda.
No.
I think you can watch.
Well, I guess I need to have a motion to approve.
Barris, I'm supposed to be in on the meeting.
Second.
Otherwise, they can't hear it.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, minutes.
So,
Consider approving the minutes from July 27th, 2021 meeting. Everyone get a chance to look at the minutes?
I got a chance and I thoroughly reviewed it and Dan did a great job. Thank you. It was excellent, very
Right,
detailed.
Rosario.
Refreshed a bunch of stuff that I sort of forgot.
Okay. Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Hey, Ed, I'm here.
Second?
Yeah.
Everyone?
Memory. full.
Aye.
Okay.
Call Rosario.
Treasurer's report.
Can't get in on Zoom, right?
Yeah. Call what?
Treasurer's report?
Yes.
Try on your phone to get in on Zoom.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Oh, you're not trying if you're calling somebody.
we can't get
I have
you
a
on
question.
Zoom. I don't think it's a Zoom meeting.
Yeah, okay, burglar and fire alarm.
You
Yeah.
can't watch it. I
Here.
think you can't watch it, sir.
Numbers that I'm seeing on here.
And I'm supposed to be able to talk.
Would you happen to know that?
I'm sorry.
On the treasurer's report, some
You
of
know
our
what the
expenses,
problem
burglar
is?
and fire alarm.
Mhm.
Is that like a yearly
It says
thing?
every
Was
person.
that like, do we have a service that we had to do?
On the top.
So, I mean, there would be some that would be
Why
an
don't you
annual,
sign out
there's
and try
some
to
that
get
would be
in here?
almost a monthly,
Okay.
Okay,
like a monthly monitoring.
okay.
Just hang up.
I had the same question. And I looked back at previous treasurer's reports and it was the same number, $264. So I'm assuming that's an annual expense.
Okay.
On these icons.
So we probably shouldn't see that again until the end of the year, to the next year.
Correct, I would assume.
Yeah.
And I guess ground maintenance is the same thing. All these.
Can you
either
hear
one's
me?
A little different, right?
Yeah.
Because of,
I think what it is the budgeted expenses on the right versus the actuals on the left.
oh, gotcha.
But who takes care of the ground maintenance? We pay for it.
Yeah.
Township.
What is that? Our
Ground maintenance, what is that?
So again, because Willistown maintains this, I'm not sure what all these expenses are.
Okay.
And I don't know, Dan Hagan would have.
He
to be-
wasn't sent by email the copy, that's the way. Yeah,
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Well, sure.
but I'm assuming that this ground maintenance is cost of materials, right? No labor.
I would think so. I know Newtown has not submitted anything to Willistown for ground maintenance. So my presumption, I mean, maybe it was, weed killer, maybe it was,
Yeah,
some dirt or stone or something like that.
Sandbags, whatever has been
Yeah.
put there.
Oh, wait.
That's what I would presume. But again, I have not seen those bills. Willistown maintains them. I only see the ones that Newtown sends over to them.
Well, we do have, on the treasury report, we have the itemized list, but we don't have a justification for the items. probably in the future, if we can have it, it will be more informative.
Right. I mean, normally someone from Willistown's present to explain that. And you're right. I think if they're not going to be here, we need an itemization.
Speaking of which, I do have a receipt for sandbags, the rock bags that I put out in front for the storms, which really did well.
You did the 6 bags?
Yeah. No, I think it was 8. The sand, well, I know last year we had sand, and I actually got the pebbles in the bag. I left them in the bag.
Yeah, there were 6 bags of gravel.
So what is this, 6?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then the other question is the electricity, and that appears to be a rolling bill. Because in the July treasurer's report, it was $116 and change. And in this one, it's $199 and change. So I'd assume that's the rolling cost of the electric bills.
I guess this is the outdoor lights,
Sorry?
the lights outdoor of the bridge, right?
That is really only the only electric that's at that site. Yeah.
Well, that and the burglar and fire alarms would need power.
Right.
Yeah, it needs power, yes.
And then I guess the 410, does that have anything to do with what we've just done?
Yes.
It was, oh, okay. Oh, just for you, I wanted to show you that.
The legal
Yeah.
fees, I guess.
Okay, so it is 8.
Yeah,
Couldn't count that high.
that's okay. So what do we think? We go with the treasurer's report? Everybody okay?
I'm good with it.
Well, it seems fine. I mean, just for future reference, it would be nice if we have attached the itemization of the cost of the items, even for planning.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
we know where the money goes and what needs to be done. I'm sure that it's fully justifiable, it's just for us to know.
And also note that they're all under budget. All the expenses are under the budget.
Yes.
That was proposed.
Oh, yes.
So Eric,
Oh, okay.
this is difficulty through the Zoom.
Okay, I'll ask. This is Eric.
I'll stay on.
Yeah.
Eric, we see you. Can you unmute yourself?
Well, we're up there now, so.
Yeah, he's on the upper that is him, despite the camera is not open. He
The
is not
camera
on,
is. Can you see me all right?
We can hear you, Eric. We can't see you. I don't know if you have video on.
I do. Oh, better the video camera. Just check to see that that's on. That's what may be the problem. All right, why don't you just keep going and I'll just listen.
Okay, and when we know that you're speaking, we'll try to make sure to recognize you and listen.
Yes.
Okay.
This USB device not right.
did you have anything to say to this budget issue before we move on?
Yeah.
Eric, do you have anything you want to comment on with regard to the agenda up to the treasurer's report?
Well, the IRS statement that Helen gave should list Doug Humes as the person with who's going to control the books. And right now, I think she has him down as the secretary. Anybody hear that?
I didn't get that.
Sorry.
So Eric, this is George. I'm looking now, and in the minutes, I see Doug Humes being asked to be the keeper of the books for the 501c3.
Okay, but it also has him down as secretary, I think.
We're not there
Where?
yet, right? We're not there yet.
Yeah.
So maybe it's confusing where we are.
Yeah,
Somebody
see,
should tell him. Let's move on first with the township meeting. Otherwise, we flip back and forward.
what do you think about that, George? Can you tell him that we're still with the township, right? So isn't what he's referring to is the Friends?
He is, I believe he's referring to the minutes from the previous meeting.
Oh, okay, okay.
But Eric, I think, again, this is George. I think
Yeah.
we'll make sure that the minutes are reflective of Doug being the keeper of the books for the 501c3.
Okay,
We'll continue on with the Bartram Bridge Joint Commission meeting.
okay, good. Thanks.
So is Eric okay with everything from the agenda to the? treasury?
Yes, yeah, everything is
Okay.
fine.
Okay, can I get a motion to go to the treasurer's report?
Motion.
So move.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. So old business.
Oh, is it
What is that
Original
from the
ratio.
electrician?
Mhm.
What do you think?
Oh, I didn't see that.
You know, I am one driving
It's
for
working
the
now.
for the Hartford,
See it?
only because of new technology protects the bridge from fires
Now,
due to an arc in the line.
now the only thing that Dan had mentioned to me.
Click the original ratio.
The only thing that Dan mentioned to me is with the arc fault
See on
breakers.
the right
can
side.
Easily trigger,
Click
right? The fault can trigger easily, more easily than a regular fuse. And I don't think that's a problem though, because when we see that the lights are out or something, we'll know right away, you know, and I think we'll be good that way. But I love Bart's point on, you know, how, you know, the mouse chews the wire, we could have a problem. So also I asked him to go over the bridge. We have a lighting issue where the lights aren't, the timer, it's not talking. So something's not set. So I said, there's not many wires on the bridge, but I'm like, go through it. Just make sure we're good, you know, and everything's good. And whatever has to be done to the lights and the ones outside.
You had mentioned to me that the sockets for the floodlights were deteriorating and falling apart.
Yes.
And in here it says to check and improve them.
Yes.
It also talks about bulbs
Yep,
One of the thoughts I had on the bulbs too was go with LED.
yeah.
I
I think Dan, is it in there? I think he mentioned LED.
Yeah.
Yes,
put it to
$10 a bulb.
Yeah.
And they last,
1, 2, 3,
Forever.
4.
and it would affect the utility bill. The only question I have is, we have, in my opinion, a reasonable estimate.
I heard it.
Do we need to get a second estimate?
I don't think we do when we're under that cap that was at the 18.
Correct. Due to the
1,
dollar
2,
amount, I
3,
think you could
4.
just get them to do that work.
Cool.
If the board decided.
If
so.
you think that is a reasonable estimate, I don't know, I have no idea, so.
Yeah.
So
You
guys,
know what we'll do.
He's a local guy,
Yeah.
worked with for years.
Let's go over there.
Right,
and the estimate includes
Yeah.
also material that will
Yeah,
go
oh,
into it?
yeah.
So
What do you
that-
say? What do you
everything
think?
else is
Uh,
yeah.
put into this.
And he's all insured and everything, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Why don't we go over to the board meeting?
I have no sense whether this is a reasonable
You want to
estimate.
go, my dear?
I've had a lot
Let's, yeah.
over the years, both at
Where
home
it
and
is.
with the employer. And it
Hey.
seems very reasonable.
So
The new
here's how I
township building.
Dan has done a lot of work for me.
With the possibility.
I just trust
So,
him.
yeah,
He's
well,
that guy you
this-
can trust. He's a
Yeah.
young guy, and he works in our town every day. And so, I've
All
probably
right, leave it on.
for about 6 years now, and I've done major projects with him. He's definitely, he's real serious about what he does. He takes his time. He's fanatical. So that's why I called on him, because I trust him.
So I am comfortable looking at reviewing it myself. I'm comfortable with that. Should we ask Eric if he has comments on that
Eric?
question?
Sure.
Eric, do you have a comment on the electrical quote?
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Should we go for a vote with that?
I would make a motion that we accept the bid and have him do it as soon as is possible.
Okay, I agree.
And I don't know what the time frame is, but, within, between now and the end of the year, I think would be appropriate.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yes.
the sooner the better, because
Yeah.
it's a matter of safety, so.
Yeah.
All right, so I second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 I,
Okay,
And
5-0.
Ed,
Yes, sir.
at this point, I'd like to comment on this to this degree. This seemed like a very small amount of something that was really urgent, but we've been talking about this for a year. Found it in the old minutes. And seems to me there should be a way the townships can authorize us to order this work without waiting for a formal meeting. A plan that would enable one or two of us to say, yes, do it right now,
I mean, without having a board meeting?
without having a board meeting.
That's an interesting question, Dan. And that was partly brought up with the last July's meeting, when we were trying to approve the financial statement and not having a physical copy of it. And Suzanne suggested that everybody would get a copy, all the board members. And then if they approved it, send it back to Ed specifically, because that would be in lieu of a meeting. And we could get a quorum on the decision there.
I will most actually,
So,
if I can, I will most flip the issue in a way that for interventions like this, which put at threat the security of the bridge with fire or other things like that, and the bridge being owned by the two townships, not us, they should be the one actually proactively doing it, just inform us of what they're doing for safety, not the other way around. Because
hoping
this is
you
a
have.
liability issue. If the bridge catches on fire, it's the board, it's there just for supervising what is being done in terms of long term. But if it's an emergency issue, I think the township is the authority to step in without us. It's their property, it's not our property.
That's true, but they give us a certain amount of money each year to take care of maintenance issues. I think George can speak to this. And the question is whether we have the authority, to act within some set of rules, to do something immediately, either by these emails by the various members all being polled, like an action by unanimous consent or vote, or whether there's some other procedure that would be proper under the Sunshine Law. So George has suggested to me that we ask the two townships to consider this policy and give us some direction as to
You're welcome,
what
sir.
to be able to do between meetings.
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's good.
why
And
this isn't
hopefully,
working.
this will be the only time we really, how many more
Well,
emergency,
Do the best with
I mean, in any
it.
project of any shape or form,
Okay.
the township always spend public money, right? So do you always have to approve every single item, even emergency items through the township supervisors, board meetings or stuff like that? Or you have the ability to authorize work which is urgent?
Yes, and so, and you make a good point. So if there is an emergency expenditure, if there's something that's of critical importance that we need to deal with immediately, we have some latitude to be able to do that. If it's an improvement, if it's something moving forward, that's something that I feel that the Bartram Bridge Joint Commission
Right.
would want to talk about in public and recommend, an expenditure like that. But if it's an emergency issue, a concern for safety issue, something like that, I think it gets brought to the township's attention if it hasn't been noticed by us, and we can take some immediate action on it. What I would propose is that this board requests of the two townships to establish a parameter policy for exactly those kind of things, so that this board can then have an understanding of what that latitude
Yeah,
is.
but the only thing that I feel uncomfortable with, that sometimes the judgment call, whether something is an improvement or an emergency, can be rather discretionary. And so the issue is, I don't want to be in a position to have taken responsibility for something that we consider an emergency and the township then doesn't consider an emergency. So everybody's to be in line. So it's easier for the township as a larger organization to say, this is an emergency, we go ahead, we do without any public input or whatever, supervisor, whatever is board meeting.
Agreed. I think the role of the Bridge Commission at that point would be if any member sees an emergency,
To report to
to
you.
report it to
Correct.
either myself or to Bill Hagan,
Yeah.
and it can be addressed immediately.
Yeah,
And if it's determined to not be an emergency, then it may come back as an agenda
Right, but
item.
what is being asked was something different for us to proclaim the emergency and use the dollars on our judgment. On that, I feel uncomfortable.
And that's very fair. I think if you bring it to the townships, it's now on us to
Right.
make that determination.
Correct.
And the fact that we have Bill Hagan and George as two expert public work directors, they're our go-to guys, and they know what's going on. So that's a perfect clearinghouse for stuff. And George has been involved in this electrical issue since we first brought it up. And then if it's something really, really serious, it doesn't say where we can't hold a special board meeting.
Right, that's correct. Because, on a large, broad scale, this is the same issue with the bridge underpinning with abutments and the stonework and stuff like that. The bridge can be swim anytime. I mean, if something falls there.
Right.
But as you know, the township has not viewed that as an emergency because we're still discussing about doing that work.
And again, it's a difficult judgment call because it could be there. We could do nothing and it could be there 20 years from now.
Absolutely.
Or there could be a problem tonight.
Absolutely.
And you make that engineering judgment as to what would be an emergency. I think that it's good that this electrical question came up and caused this discussion so that this board can get some clarity from the townships as to, okay, when do we just take it to the, when does an individual member report it in and we deal with it? When are some things that are better to put it on the agenda and talk
But I
about?
feel like, as a board member, if I see something that to me seems to be an emergency, then I can circulate an email within the board members. Say we send a letter to you saying, from our viewpoint, that this is an emergency, you gotta attend this immediately because the bridge is a risk of ABSA.
I also think if any of the 5 board members see an emergency, they can just individually contact, and then we don't lose any time on it.
So
So
what would
if
it be? We would contact you and then what, we send an email to each other, do this quick, fast?
I would say now that's where we'll set the policy, but in the immediate, you contact one of the 2 of us, and then we deal with it immediately.
I live nearby, if I see the bridge on fire, I'll call even the fire department or the police or whatever.
Exactly.
So that's not a problem.
And when you think of emergencies, I mean, this is important, right? How many other things other than a flooding thing would we have that's really important that we take action on? It's just, we're a bridge. So probably won't be dealing with things like this that much.
We hope
Hopefully,
not.
We
correct.
hope not.
We hope not. I mean, right now, a tree can fall, a tree can be leaning. There are trees around the bridge. We know one fell in the last storm, likely didn't hit the bridge. And, things can happen, it's a structure
Exactly.
living there. Things can happen.
So would this board then like to request the townships to provide some clarity on that?
Right. I think so.
Okay, good.
Okay, so we can go to vote. Can we get,
I have another question. We ordered ads. We had some grounds work done. Are we paying the bills as they come in for that? Or are we waiting for this meeting to approve the treasurer's report before the bills get paid?
You would need to talk to the Willistown folks on that because they keep the books, they keep the money. And I do not know if they pay the bills immediately or if they let them sit. I'm not sure what their policy is.
It
is there
depends.
somebody not paid?
It depends also the agreement they have with the contractors to do the work.
Oh.
If they have an agreement to pay within 60 days, 30 days, 120 days, and the board meeting doesn't fall into that time frame, either they have to call a special board meeting for authorizing the payoff of the work done, or the contractor is to know and wait for that. So I don't know.
Is that what you're referring to, like
Yeah, right.
contract work like this? So in other words, you're saying,
Well, we have the electric bill, we have, I don't know.
It's a good
some
point.
Work was done to deal with the runoff. I mean, we ordered some work. And we had the money. Question is whether that needs to go back to our board to approve the payment, or we have to go further back to the Board of Supervisors, each township to approve. We need some guidelines on what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. Right, so that's part of the request.
So I actually think that is it's a legitimate point. It's a separate request because that is dealing with how Willistown Township maintains the books and whether they are paying the bills up front and then bringing them to you for review afterwards, or if they are holding them until this meeting and paying them afterwards. I think that's a question we ask Willistown for clarity on how their finance department's handling that. And then I think it's a separate question as to how we want to deal with emergency expenditures and
But
those
let
kind of
me,
things.
just for clarity, I mean, I don't know how the process works. The funds which we are discussing about are township funds, right?
Correct.
So we really don't have we don't control them. We just make a suggestion, a recommendation, or approval what works needs to be done. So the work he is talking about has been already approved.
I believe that work that is regular work, such as, for example, the electric bill,
Right.
and those kind of things, those are recurring expenses. Those are expenses that I think are just being reported back here.
Right, right.
That's
But
my
like
understanding.
this electrical bill, if this work we got approved, it gets done, it's been already approved. So now I'm assuming that the only thing before paying it to make sure that the work was done properly. But that is on the township side, right? Because you guys inspect what work is being done
Exactly.
after being contracted.
Exactly.
So I don't see why it should come back to us for approval again for being paid.
My understanding, Sorrow, is that it would be reported back afterwards, not
I understand.
necessarily
So, but
sitting
we
here.
take visions that has been done as was requested, has been paid off, and it was done properly. But that guarantee that was done properly to us come from you guys. It
Exactly.
doesn't come from us.
Exactly.
And I would
So-
imagine too, when Dan does the work, he's gonna call me and say, the work is, I'm gonna go down there and go through everything he did. I don't know if you have to have the township inspected.
I think you'd probably want one of the two of us to come down and
It's
look at it with
electrical
you.
work. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
if they requires in private homes, an
Yeah.
electrical work to be inspected and approved for being to code, why wouldn't have that on the bridge,
Yes.
which is their
Yeah.
own property?
So I will let you know when he gets completed, so you can go take a look.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Thank you.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm still not clear on this.
Go ahead.
The townships have given us money. We've got, even after paying these bills, $6,900. Why do we have the money if we don't have the authority to spend it and pay for the things we've ordered?
So the Bartram Bridge Joint Commission recommends to the townships the expenditures of the money. Right? So you have recommended to the townships the expenditures for the ads. You're recommending to the townships the expenditures of the, of the electrical work. And then it goes from there.
So we
And
sort
then
of
you
just,
get a report at the end as to the balances of the funds and bills that were paid.
but Dan, I think I might be able to help you out. So in other words, the township's not going to pay Dan. We're going to write him a check, right, from our account.
No, the townships, the township funds that are reported on.
Oh, right, you're right, you still,
I
Willistown still does.
think the mistake is this is not our account. It's their account. It's their money.
Right, so this is
We are
our treasurer's
just,
report.
we are just, we are the advisory board on how they spend this money. In other words, we've approved this work, but if the township decides to table this, they can't.
Right.
Doesn't need to be done. When we have the money with the Friends of Bartram Bridge, it will be a different story. Then
Right.
whatever we decide to do, with Doug controlling it as the treasurer of those money, then those are our money. But these are not our
All
money.
right, so you're saying to me that the $6,900 bottom line of this is in an account
Willistown.
at Willistown Township, not the Bartram Bridge Joint.
Correct.
Conservation.
Yeah.
Correct. We are just an advisory board on how this money that the
I
township.
misunderstood that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's why I feel like the controlling on the expenditure on our end, it's not really, it's limited.
Okay, I get it.
All right. So that being said, can I get a motion for electrical work?
I
Oh,
think
do we already do
you
that?
got it. We moved that, right? The motion was approved
Yes.
Oh, okay.
unanimously. so.
The review of flooding in August and September. I don't know if anyone got a chance to
What are we
see.
gonna review there?
I do have a video that
Oh, man, you have the evidence.
I do have some evidence. I can send it around to show you. So
This is township.
I don't know, did I send an
Willistown.
email out with the video?
I think you did it to me. Yes, yes, yes.
No,
Did anyone see that?
no, I saw it at the other bridge in Chester County.
Okay, so what I can do is I can send this out. I have I took a video of it in one of the storms, So I did notice one thing. I should probably bring this to the attention to the township, that on the Goshen Road Bridge, on the upstream side of it, there's a tree and it's in the water. And I'll show you the video. I have it on video. It's pretty big. It's sort of lodged under the bridge. And I don't know if it's a threat. I mean, if it unlodges and, flips up, it could be a threat. But something I should probably tell you about, if it's something you want to look at or.
Sure. So I'll bring that to Bill because I think that's Willistown over there. I'll bring that to Bill and
Yeah, I think the one Ed's talking about is on the Newtown side, on the north side of the bridge upstream,
okay.
and it's protruding from the north side, and it's a good sized tree, about 10 or 12 inches. And I could be wrong, but my question is, do either of the townships have the authority to clear that stuff? It's probably on private property.
It probably is on private property, but I will investigate it.
Okay. And I'm not sure which township it is. But my recollections is it's on the Newtown side,
Okay,
just north of the bridge and not far, maybe 30 feet or less. Like Ed says, it's encumbering the water flow. And it could be a place where debris and stuff catches and builds up more issues.
okay. We will investigate that.
Yeah,
Eric again? Did we lose Eric
yeah,
again?
it just needs an eyeball.
Oh, we lose Eric again?
We did. We lost Eric a few minutes ago. Waiting to see if he comes back. If he does come back, I'll let you know.
Okay.
So I'll pass this video around, but I ended up, right before the storm, I went to Depot when I bought the bags of gravel. I do have a receipt. It might be like $30 or something. I forget what it is. I might have it with me, but I put those bags down and you'll see in the video, I mean, it really worked well. So a lot of our water was staying completely away from the bridge, just diverting it down into that ravine and out. So, you know, one thing I've noticed is that little Goshen Road Bridge is like our little angel because it's lower than the cover bridge and it sets the height. So when the floods are coming, it goes under that bridge and it gives us about 4 to 5 inches of clearance on the covered bridge. I really think if that bridge wasn't there, we probably wouldn't have a covered bridge, you know, from after all the crazy rains we've had. So things a godsend, that little bridge. But the water comes real close. It's enough to keep you up at night, you know. So let's hope the Goshen Road Bridge doesn't go anywhere.
I'm sure PennDOT agrees.
Yeah. And I guess that leads us into the reports of status of the berm. And do you hear anything at all from Willistown?
Willistown had a huge issue in the Ida storm
Oh, okay.
that really attacked the neighborhood and washed out a couple of houses
Oh, wow.
and took out a couple 100 feet of property in a non-floodplain area.
Wow.
So all that water went straight down a hill and it's supposed to go into a storm sewer and then through a recovery thing. And it went straight over and washed out everything. And the 2020 storm did a little bit of the same and they rebuilt it with the engineers and the rebuild didn't work. It couldn't handle that Ida storm. So the Public Works has been up to their eyeballs in trying to fix that. And then about 150 yards west of that is North Valley Road, and there's a giant gully that comes down. And they had to deal with the gully washouts going into Tredyffrin Township. So Hagan and the gang have just been up to their ears in repairs.
Yeah. Now, and I do think that the bags, the pebbles are doing a great job deflecting the water.
Yeah.
And
But you know, from the video you showed me, I was questioning. I understand the water running through that, coming from the Willistown side, will impact the bridge directly, channeling in. But the main problem is the creek. I don't think that water through the bags has a huge impact on the amount of water which is coming through the creek. Well, so that's the water that you see, which is a threat, is the water through the creek when swells too much and gets too much water running down.
the only problem is we have had in the last couple of years with the storms. If you go on the bridge and you walk halfway into the middle of the bridge, you'll notice there's a film of mud on all the.
Oh, that's
planks.
another story. That's an
Right.
additional issue. Yes.
And you know where the arches come down on the Willistown side, there's a hole in the blacktop. And so that water was coming in and running down that hole, and it was affecting that big. And it was
Here
affecting
you
that
are.
beam.
He made it.
Eric. Yeah, but I feel like, I mean, these are two overlapping issues.
Yes.
The issue of the water coming in through the road creates a danger and a problem on the platform of the bridge from the inside because it brings
We didn't
mud
lose you,
and the
just
other things
decided
you're
to
saying.
visit.
But that water from that creek, that's a level of water which will be there regardless.
So what is it, are you thinking there's something else we could do? Is there something that could be?
Short of elevating the bridge, there's not much real you can do.
They do that. I've seen that happen.
Well, shorter than elevating the bridge, there is not much more you can do really.
If you
Anyone
look
hear
at
that?
the video.
We can
clip,
always lift the bridge up 3 feet,
What?
elevate the bridge.
All I'm
Okay, that's-
saying,
okay,
all
that's
I'm
good for
saying,
that.
the contribution of the water coming through the road to the water which is flowing through the creek, it's trivial. And actually, if you want to make a case,
Which
by
is a
the-
tree.
We could do like the bridge they did. The bridge they did in Fires up near Eagle, they moved the bridge.
well, you have to lift, the only solution to that is to elevate the bridge. When the stone work is done, to raise the embankment where the bridge
Or lower,
sits,
lower the creek.
the bed of the creek.
You do that?
But 3 options, lower the creek, move the bridge, and raise the bridge. Or just live with it, there's 4 options.
By moving the
Are we
bridge
allowed to
from its
lower the creek?
location will be meaningless because the bridge, that's its natural location where it was built.
Yeah, but bridges have been moved.
I know, but where do you move it to?
But, how about, but lifting the bridge sounds like a job and a half because
Um,
I think lowering the creek makes, I mean,
The Lancaster timber framers moved a much bigger bridge. It washed downstream in Pennsylvania, a couple hundred yards. They picked it up and moved it all the way back. And it was on its side and they reversed it or anything else.
Well, anything can be done. People,
It's in their work photographs.
they moved the Rose Tavern, a stone building. Anything can be moved.
Yeah.
I know, but the issue is if you move it from there, where you bring it, where you put it.
But I like your point about the existing State Goshen Road Bridge being the protector.
so I wonder if there was anything that could be done, maybe with PennDOT to the existing bridge, like a metal lentil or something, like deflector that would, no?
And that's not interested in that.
No? Well, as it stands right now, that little bridge is our,
It's not so little, it's,
well, I mean, our Goshen Road Bridge is what's really,
it protects from
Yeah.
flow and debris coming down the river. And it also protects in the height, like you said, and your video showed that.
so you can see how close it gets. That's the
The
only.
water coming underneath that bridge was at the bottom of the PennDOT bridge. And it gave the Bartram Bridge several inches of clearance.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So
Right.
that's the protector.
And the only thing that I see that could be an issue would be if something like that big tree was able to go under the bridge and just sort of tumble up. And I guess you really can't control it. How do you know? How do you stop?
It's really difficult to predict and control.
Yeah, that's the thing to control.
After the storm, all the logs and stuff that were all over the floodplain,
Yeah,
they were everywhere up against the fences and they were huge.
If the climate continues to do what it's doing and something is not done, I think a township have to change their floodplain. You know, area zone or whatever plane is, because things are gonna be changing. What was not a flood area, it can become a
It
flood
has
area.
some photographs from.
Oh,
raise
that
the
was
bridge.
Ida
dig out the
storm, I
creek.
believe. And Ed put in those gravel bags.
But I had a deflector, think it this way, a deflector of the water.
Northeast, or we have.
Who's gonna
right
take it?
now?
If what
I
you
don't
start to
think we've
flood the
had that
people
much
problem.
rain compared to New Jersey.
Because if you block the water flowing, where
See
it
how
goes
Ed has it
naturally,
deflecting?
it's gonna go
And,
somewhere,
uh,
right?
Bill Hagan was
And if
gonna
you
put a
flood
berm
the
up,
other
but
people's
they got up to
property,
their ears in that.
You
rock
think the PennDOT
blockage.
is gonna take a stake like that?
Not like Paoli
The
Hospital.
water is to go somewhere. That's the natural
So I guess
gas.
this is just a problem everyone has.
Yeah,
You
there is
can't-
not much you can do on that.
There's not much you can do.
There is not much, you gotta hope and pray that we don't have such a storm that raises the level of the, but this happens to homes, to anywhere.
Yeah, Ed,
Yeah,
There's nothing you can do.
Yes, sir.
Eric has a question.
yes, sir.
First of all, I want to apologize, but modern technology did me in tonight.
Well, we're glad to see you in
Yeah,
person.
I was in the hospital for a little while and just got out, so we arranged for township to set up this great device. There's only one problem, as most devices have, gotta work. And it didn't tonight. So I apologize for being late. Got a good commander now in Ed, and I think board is set for action. I think we have to go to it. It's a treasure. This bridge is known far and wide. As I was in the hospital, somebody had said, oh, you live down near that bridge, right? I said, yeah, well, where are you from? They were from Oxford, Pennsylvania. That's a long way away. Everybody knows that bridge. I think it's incumbent upon the townships to seek donors and to seek enthusiasm for this bridge. I've worked on it for 20 years now, and I think it's going to be once we get the thing restored, it's going to be a beauty. That's my 2 cents.
I completely agree.
So Ed, is there additional discussion you want on item 6.3?
No, not at all. I think Bart cleared us, gave us a good description. I can imagine that Bill's busy, that storm did a lot of damage. And again, so the sandbags, I think, are doing a great job of that runoff. Now, Willistown just might want to, maybe I should send that to Bill, because maybe they might want to see, and I think Bill and I talked about it once, like a roll curb, maybe a way to keep it off from even coming down there. And if Willistown even wants to have people enter the bridge from that side, because it's sort of like a drop off, right? The water comes in, drops off, it's sort of eaten away. So they have to really look at that. I know Bill's probably has an idea of what he wants to do. So, but I think in the meantime, I think the sandbags are doing the job, keeping the water out, so we can buy time with that.
And I would suggest sending that video to him for sure.
Yeah, okay, we can do that.
Ed, can I just ask a question? I don't know if I'm out of order right now, but we have a budget. We have VA. We're seeking 1/2 from each township. So we're in the process right now of soliciting estimates, but have you been able to come up with a ballpark for each township yet?
Is that a question to George or is that to me?
I think it's to you.
Okay. You say ballpark estimate of what our construction needs?
Yes.
Okay, so first we have to remember, we got an estimate, I guess it was in April, or when did we get our estimates from?
I put that package together. That was included in the background on the agenda.
Well, I guess what my point is we've had that's right. So we've had a tough year with COVID and everything, and lumber prices skyrocketed. So we probably need to revisit now that lumber costs are coming back down, because it could ultimately change our price.
Well, that's
But
we're not there yet.
right.
We need to decide through the townships, and George and Bill Hagan have been working with the township managers, talking about the problems and the issues, and we've qualified it to several areas, fixing the decking, and leveling and fixing the timber framing, fixing the clapboard, painting it, and all those areas, and it came to roughly $250,000. And it doesn't have to be all done at once, but it's got to be put in a critical path. Meaning you do the logical stuff first. And I'll use an example is if we fix the side of the bridge where the timber framing goes down on the Willistown side and it's kind of lost its integrity. you have to pull the deck boards up to get to that. So rather than replacing the old deck boards, when you do that, you might replace a portion of the deck boards or possibly do that at the same time. What makes the most sense? And what we need to do, in my opinion, is to get the township managers to be able to present proposed expenses to the supervisors on both sides. And then have the supervisors recognize that we need to look into this and start the process of looking to get bids and putting them out because it's public. Am I right?
Exactly. So, and just to, I guess, update this board since the July meeting, if you remember at the July meeting, I had said that Newtown had proposed their half of this entire project in the capital budget for 2022. Now, understand that those budgets aren't finalized until sometime in November or December. So as of this point, it's in the proposed budget. It hasn't been passed yet.
Right.
And we'll see once the final budget presentation by the Board of Supervisors takes place. Ours is in there. Bill Hagan has shared that he has put that like amount in the Willistown budget for 2022. So at this point now, your work and your recommendations are represented in the two townships' 2022 budgets. We'll wait and see if they're able to pass. And again, that's November, or probably December is more likely. As soon as they pass, or some portion of them is able to pass, then I think that's when we start jumping into verifying prices and looking at what's necessary with the bid process. And once that happens, again, this board is going to make the recommendations on how we narrow the scope or keep the scope as it is. And then I think Bill and I kind of take that ball. You've given it to us. You've said what it is that you're recommending that we do. And if our two boards have agreed to it, then we start running with it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Turning up bird.
And with a major expense like that, it might be budgeted for more than 1 year.
It is possible. So I believe, and again, I heard from Bill, but I haven't seen it, that he put in half of that $250,000 and Newtown put in for half of that $250,000. Again, that might be something that the boards both agree to and say, you know what, we're gonna fund it for 1 year like that. Or they may say, we're gonna do it over a few years, and we'll just then start going through and saying, okay, what's the most critical portion? Then what's the next most critical? And we'll chip away at it over 2-3 years, whatever. But we'll see. As of right now, we placed the whole thing in for the 2022 budget, and we'll see where the finances land.
How about Willistown?
And I got an email from Sally Sloop, the Willistown Township Manager, and she said that she has the information and they will be working on the budgets. And if she needs any input, she give me a call because she's working real close with Bill Hagan. So I feel comfortable. They know what they're doing.
So your recommendations have been significantly passed on to the boards, and they've read the information and they've agreed as of this point that it's included in the capital budgets. And then we'll see, again, they have to look and see where the finances are and make a determination. But as of today, they're in the proposed budget for 2022.
No, Willistown passed anything.
I don't think they've even done a budget presentation at all.
I think would you say December maybe? Willistown is when they do theirs?
Probably December. I mean, Newtown starts the budget presentation process I think we started in July or August, because we do it very gradually. We make presentations to the boards about various aspects of the budget so that they get a flavor of what's going on for a couple months at least, different pieces of it. And then it all gets wrapped together usually in November, sometimes early December. Again, with the way the world is right now, a lot of things change minute by minute. And that's where they need to decide where's the final budget going to land. December is the realistic time.
Anything else, Sarah?
Oh, it's good to know that there's a lot of support.
So we'll know more about that in the next couple months. Or what gets passed, things like that.
And again, to the members of the board, I think that if questions come up and some witness would be helpful from some of the board members, we will absolutely reach out to you when it gets to that point. But fortunately, you've done your job and you've made the recommendations, you've put a presentation together. You gave Bill and I something that we were able to bring to the boards that they could understand and wrap their minds around.
And you guys participated in a lot of it.
Yeah, we tried to play our part.
Yeah.
I see the next thing on the list, and I don't know, is this the status of the Facebook page?
So that's actually a friend's
I was gonna
discussion,
say.
I believe.
Yeah, okay.
And I should, I'll take this opportunity to mention to the board, because we have been mentioning on the Newtown side, we've been mentioning to all the boards and commissions of the township. There is a social media policy in Newtown Township, which has to do with boards and commissions. And, anything that this board would want to submit to the township's website, the township's Facebook page, can be submitted to the township for possible inclusion. Once the Friends of the Bartram Bridge 501c3 is in full operation again, and if they have their own Facebook page, that would be outside of that scope. But from the joint commission question, if you have something you want to go on Facebook or other social media or on the township website, you could submit that for consideration to be posted.
So does the township have a Facebook page?
The township, Newtown Township does. I do not know about Willistown Township, but Newtown Township does.
Okay.
And they also have a internet webpage.
Correct.
So they're generally interconnected where one refers to another.
Mhm.
And having Doug here tonight as the head honcho, driving influence of Friends of, the creator, helps a lot. And then Eric was working with Helen Mountain on getting the 501c3 stuff. Am I correct? To Doug?
Again, that the next agenda item, the update on the nonprofit, should that be in the next meeting?
So I believe that it predominantly will be in the next meeting. I think this joint commission can reference where the status of it is.
Okay.
And then, again, once this meeting closes, we take just a quick pause so that the meeting on YouTube can end, and then the next one can get started. And then we can really you can get into the full discussion of the 501c3. But because it's sprung from the joint commission, I think you can reference where it's at and then save the majority of the discussion for the next.
Okay. Okay, so update on the nonprofit status as well as discussion and possible action of Helen Mountain's reinstatement of nonprofit papers and tax forms.
Okay, I could jump in here, I guess. Also, there was a insurance issue which still is not really solved. We decided then the Friends fundraising campaign did file 3 IRS tax returns, basically with 0 return. And but we want to reinstate it now because we see green light at the end of the tunnel. We have people, I understand from Ed, that we have somebody that's going to coordinate the website. I know we're very pleased to have Doug Humes with us. And I expect the 501c3 will be approved, reinstated within a couple of months. So we'll be ready to go with that. And then we can coordinate the website, the shop that we want to set up where, you know, like Christmas gifts, books and things like that, together with the construction. So I'm looking forward to it.
Good. So Ed, I would believe that was a great report to the Joint Commission and the townships. And then, you know, you could get into a deeper discussion once you have the Friends meeting.
Okay. Items for next agenda.
Well, we always have to discuss June historical day, and I don't know whether you want to say anything about whether the bridge is going to take a significant role in that, or we did 10 years ago, back in 2010, where we celebrated the 150th anniversary of the building of the bridge. It was built, as we all know, at the time of President Lincoln during the Civil War, and we had a great turnout for them. I don't know whether we're going to have anything planned for 2020, 21, and 2022. Sometimes we have an art exhibit or picture contest. Most of the time, it's just a static display. People can wander through the bridge, see how it's constructed. It's very nice to do that just by itself. And of course, from a creek is a gorgeous, gorgeous spot. Just sit and relax. Doug, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, you're on.
We don't even start, we start the planning for Historic Newtown Square Day in January. So there's nothing specific right now. Any participating site, we always think it's a good idea for sites to come up with something new, something special. So in 2010, it was the 150th anniversary of the bridge. So that's why the bridge was the focus then. But to the extent there are volunteers who want to do something particular, you know, we encourage that, but we don't have any ideas right now. But we'll get back to you starting in January. We generally develop a theme and then go from there and reach out to everyone, tell them all what the theme is. So I'll let you know.
So thinking about that, I have a question, and that is, there's some sheets of plywood I think Bill had put down on the bridge to cover up some holes. Does that mean it's okay for pedestrians to walk on the bridge? Are we allowed to have people on the bridge? That would be a question I have. And Eric, you just briefly mentioned that our insurance issue is not really resolved yet.
Well, as far as I know, I have been told verbally that the officers and directors and agents of the Friends are really actually agents, directors and officers of the township. So in that regard, know that Newtown Township has insurance that covers that, and I believe I've been told that the Willistown Township also has it, but I want to get it clarified for Friends, the charitable institution.
We are insured for the township.
Well, Rosario had raised this issue now. It's probably going on 2 or 3 years ago. And we're still trying to pin down the answer. I will say that there is no question in my mind that if there was any liability for the townships, it would also include an umbrella for the director's offices and agents. But that's me talking, not the insurance company.
And maybe we can somehow find out and get it in writing.
Well, we
Is that what
can
you're thinking?
get Helen Mountain from the Lamb McCurlin law firm, Westchester, to look this up. I've spoken to her a number of times about this, and we're really right there. We shouldn't have to worry about it. But I'm waiting for that piece of paper that comes through that will say, you know, we checked with our counsel and we believe that the Friends of the Bartram Bridge would be considered agents of the townships themselves because they're operating basically with sort of a dual mastership. On one hand, we're working as officers of the township, and on the other hand, we're working as a purely volunteer fundraising organization of local community citizens. So to be continued, I guess.
Was the insurance that we had before that we canceled out on, did that cover, was that part of a coverage that we had on us?
Oh, we have it covered for the township, both townships, but the insurance company was not giving us a clear answer as far as whether we should be covered under that policy, and we don't have to worry about buying an extra policy. So we're still in limbo on that issue. I would say, though, that we have a number of lawyers that I've spoken to that have opined that it's definitely an agency. We're definitely we're an officer of the township.
There are several other similar charitable organizations out there that are doing things for Newtown Township. The Historical Society being one. Is there an opinion on whether they got their own insurance or they got approved by the township in writing, being covered by the township's insurance?
Historical Society.
Get your own.
When there's a historic commission, that would be like you are.
But you use some of the township building though, like you use some of the structure of the township. For historical day, when you have the things at the paper mill house, who is gonna cover that? Somebody trips and falls.
So and again, remember, there's a difference here. I think that the discussion has been the coverage of the board members. And because liability insurance and property insurance is different. Okay, the
Yeah.
townships cover that. The question, and I'm not going to give the final answer on this. Helen is by far more knowledgeable in this area and knows where to look than I do. What I would say is this: if the townships have appointed you and they have appointed the members of the Bartram Bridge Joint Commission, then you would be covered under the insurance for the townships. The Friends of the Bartram Bridge is a separate 501c3. Many of you happen to also be members of the Bartram Bridge Joint Commission, but the Friends aren't set up that you have to be. There could be other people involved with that. And they would not be appointed. And actually, the Friends are not appointed by the township. They just happen to be the same people who are the Bartram Bridge Joint Commission. And I think that's where the difference is. But again, Helen is going to be the expert in getting that final answer.
So let me understand that the Historical Society has several members also, and none of them is appointed.
Correct.
Yet the Historical Society is the one who organizes events on your properties. Something happens, they are the one soliciting the event, not you as a township. So if something happens, how is this covered? Because let's assume that the Friends of Bartram Bridge wants to use the bridge for a fundraising event. If something happens at that occasion, we are the ones soliciting that event on your property. Somebody trips and falls, somebody gets hurt, there is something. Who is responsible for that? Whose liability falls under?
Generally, it's my understanding, anytime an event is held on a property like that, in my experience with the other organizations I belong to, you have to get a event policy, covers that organization for the event.
Okay, that's what you have,
yeah.
Doug?
Yeah, because you're on somebody else's property.
Well, the tavern is a private property, right? So far, so, but I was wondering with the paper mill house, what happens there, how you are covered.
I'm not sure. I would have to investigate that. Again, that's outside of my scope.
I do remember in discussion with insurances, they talked about that, a rider for an event.
Mhm.
You know, hours, you get the cover for the day.
But
So
I
we
still
should-
feel though, any activity that the Friends of Bartram Bridge do, it's for the benefit of the Bartram Bridge. Now, if there are funds, of course, the Friends have no problem in covering with their own insurance. But if there are no funds, I think that the township should step in for covering it, because we are not doing it for our own interest or profit. It benefits some structure that the township owns together with Willistown. That has been my point all along in this story. Because I feel you, in a way, ours is a volunteer job. And whatever we are able to do for the bridge is to the benefit of the township, because it takes off of your paybook, repairs or other things. So I don't see why the township on both sides should not step in to favor this and facilitate this kind of activities on behalf of the bridge.
And I think that's what that policy covered, that one we had, but because there was no activity in the Friends, it got kaput.
I think that policy was indemnifying us from, Eric, correct me if I am wrong, from wrongdoing in handling the potential
Yeah,
funds.
it's outside. Let's say, Doug decided to have a wedding of his two twins. I don't know yet. Wedding of two twins at the bridge, and there was a slip and fall, and it was all because Doug decided to put up a nice skating rink beside the bridge. I'm just making up a wild hypothetical. But who would be responsible? Would the injured party be able to sue the townships or the individual who would be named in the complaint as acting outside of his authority. So that's, Rosario's got a good point. It's still lingering there. So I think if I can recommend, I think this is one of the things that the councils for both townships were to put their heads together and come up with a solution that will totally indemnify all of the Friends agents or officers, directors, as long as they're acting within their scope of their authority or apparent authority. Dan, do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
We need that.
Absolutely.
We need that because even defending a lawsuit like that is gonna be cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would suggest, because you have been talking with Helen Mountain about this topic, that is who you should address it with.
Wouldn't it make more sense to talk to the legal sides in both townships? Township solicitors?
I agree, Art. I think you're right. I think Ellen is a very nice person, good attorney, but I'm not sure she's really tackled this issue before.
If she's in tune to what the townships subscribe to.
I feel like the township should go to their solicitor
Yeah.
and understand what to do with us, more than us asking.
But again, this is a Friends question. Correct?
That would
Correct,
go-
yes, correct.
that would
But
go-
understand the one thing, if we decide, if the Friends call for an event, it's a very gray area because the Friends are also most of them, the Friends are the board member appointed by the township. So then we should hypocritically go around, and any event we do under your name, not our name.
So I'll make a recommendation if I can. This discussion started under items for next agenda.
Right.
And if you're asking for it to be an item for the next agenda, then you're requesting that maybe the townships would make a presentation or have a discussion at the next meeting about this topic.
Or look into it to see what the township's legal responses are based on the township solicitors. Because they know exactly what's appropriate for their own towns.
So I think as an agenda item for the next meeting, it's fair, and that gives the township folks time to
To think
research
about
that.
it and search and see what they want to do with it. But at one point, some clarity needs to be brought, so we know what kind of liability or responsibility we're taking on ourselves, and we can make a decision whether to resign from our position or not.
That the Friends are taking on. Again,
Right.
it's the Friends, it's not the Joint Commission.
But
it's the
understand that
Friends.
some of us have this dual.
I understand,
That they
but
wear
it's-
this double hat, I mean,
Right,
we
but
are
the-
one and the other, so.
I understand, but that the question is with regard to the Friends, not the commission. That's
Right, well,
That's the
the
question.
commission seems to be covered, as commissioner we are covered, I hear here, right?
correct.
So as
Commission,
commissioner we are covered.
it's the 501c3 that's being started, that's your
Okay.
question,
Okay.
right?
Right. And
Two issues. One is protecting the directors.
right.
And so I jotted that down because that's a question that's beyond even this forum. It's another question.
And it's
So that's
my
good.
understanding from Willistown that all boards and commissioners are covered under the township's insurance for Willistown. So Eric and I would be here, and I am on the historic commission in my other job. And then the people on the planning commission and park and recs and stuff are all covered under the township's.
So the Willistown Historical Commission is covered at the township.
Because it's an appointed historical commission.
Correct.
There are, a historical commission has a governmental role.
Right.
A historical society is.
It's
a
Right.
private
Well, that's
entity.
the issue is they have a preservation ordinance that we
They
don't
do.
yet.
And
Town does.
Yeah, when we will have a preservation ordinance in the future, hopefully, then we'll have an historical commission under that ordinance and an
But we
architectural
still
review
also
board.
have a historical
Yeah,
society.
they will be on, yes. But it might be the case when that happens and those members of the historical society will be on that commission. And you will have a situation like the one you're seeing today with the board members here. Okay.
And then with the Paoli Battlefield Preservation Fund, which I'm also a board member, we have our own private policy to cover board members and directors. And we pay for that every year out of our own budget. And it has nothing to do with the borough, who owns the property.
So if I may, the three items that I've seen to be placed on the next agenda, a discussion of the Newtown Square Historic Day plans, the policy updates, the various policies we've talked about from finances and things like that, and then this entire insurance question, of which there's multiple facets of it.
Right.
Sounds good.
One of the things that I know Rosario is concerned about, and so am I, is the duty to defend. In other words, if Rosario becomes a recipient of a complaint that he has to defend, does he pay for it, or does the township pay for it? For legal representation. And legal representation, by the way, in this litigious society we're in, could be, you know, $50,000, $100,000. When you start looking at that, I'm sure Dan, Bart would not want to write that check. I don't think I would, and I don't think anybody else on the board would, but it has to be considered. And once it is considered, it would be an adjunct agreement to the township.
Well, from what I understood, if something happens under the Bartram Bridge Joint Preservation Board, we are covered. There is no money to be shared, nothing. The issue comes with these friends of the Bartram Bridge Society. And the problem is originated, Eric. And the problem is that this society is born just with the member of the Bartram Bridge. Different than the historical society, which has its own existence independently from any other organized structure. The reality is friends of the Bartram Bridge is us, the same board members.
Yeah.
There is
That
no
could
other
change.
elements.
But it does not have to
That could
be.
change. I mean, right now, we're starting that way, but
I
we
understand.
hope to have lots of other volunteers.
I understand, but I hope that the township will recognize that, and that has been the issue, that since we are starting and initiating something that hopefully becomes bigger and helps them, they will be able to cover these few souls which are starting this. But there seems like there is no willingness to do that, to a point where even the funds for reinstating an active insurance that Eric had procured to us were withdrawn and denied because no activity was done for a year or so. Okay. So that to me spoke back then of really some sort of disinterest from the township sides toward this society, which supposedly, if we get moving, will be able to help the whole situation.
Well, I think the townships also sort of expected us to get going a lot faster too. Fundraising. We had always thought that we could raise the funds and then pay for the insurance. Sort of throw it into the package. But didn't happen. But so it's an issue that needs a home resolved. So as soon as we can get that solved, I think everybody on this board would be much more comfortable.
Well, it's a catch-22 because what happens here is that you need some funds to get this started going, because as we discussed many times, you need some money probably for a website, somebody hired to do some sort of fundraising activities, and we don't have enough funds. So that's what caused the delay in the first place, because quite frankly, we didn't know much what to do.
If I may, I think we've really veered into a Friends of the Bartram Bridge meeting as opposed to a Bartram Bridge Joint Commission meeting. I know for a fact that we have identified that as a topic for the next Bartram Bridge Joint Commission meeting. And you know, I'm comfortable with having that on the
Right,
agenda.
and in the interest of time, I guess we should move on, John.
Yeah.
Because I cannot stay much longer, actually.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I hate to say that, but
So we will need to adjourn this meeting.
Okay, so I don't have any other business before the board. Anybody else? Okay, so I'm going to adjourn the meeting, right?
I make the motion that we adjourn.
Okay.
second.
I say aye.